Hello friends, this is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Before we take you to your favorite Sports History Network show, just want to tell you a little bit about some merch that you can pick up that represents your favorite SHN podcast. So far, there's t-shirts, coffee mugs, and even books from some of the authors that do podcasts right here on SHN. Who could buy something better than that, than have the history right from the gentleman that you hear talking about it? But we also are adding things each and every day. And where's that store, may you ask? Well, it's at SportsHistoryNetwork.com. Up at the top, there is the SHN merch button. Click on that, it'll take you right to the store, and you can be representing your favorite podcast and show the world that, hey, on the swag that I'm using, it's the headquarters of sports yesteryear, Sports History Network, and my favorite podcaster, the Sports History Network store. Shop there today. Oh, we did it again. We smacked the rewind button on the cassette of Gridiron history and stopped at the pro football season of 1929, a year that saw the NFL add an official and gain a new champion for the first time in National Football League history. We have these stories and more from 1929 in the NFL coming up in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with PigskinDispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at SportsHistoryNetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history, and welcome to another edition of Football History Rewind. We are at part number 65, and we are touring through season by season of football. And tonight, we are going to be talking about the 1929 professional football season, sort of at a glance, and the happenings and rules and people that played the game in that era, along with who won the championships of any leagues that are going on. Before we get into our story, let's make sure you're aware of our newsletter. Our newsletter comes out each and every day. It's about 6:30 a.m. It covers everything that's going on in the pig pen. The yesteryear hub is what we're calling ourselves. And Pigskin Dispatch, Jersey Dispatch, the Sports Jersey Dispatch podcast, Pigskin Dispatch podcast, Orville Mulligan Sports Writer, the audio drama, and many items are happening at the Sports History Network as well. We have a lot of things going on, and you'll be seeing more and more of expansion here in the Pig Pen and Yesteryear Hub, and we would like to share that with you. So make sure you stay tuned and stay in that newsletter. You can sign up by going to the show notes of this very podcast or at the top of PigskinDispatch.com or JerseyDispatch.com. Now let's get into this new season of 1929. And the new franchise additions included in the National Football League, which was the only league going on that year, the Orange Tornadoes, the Staten Island Stapletons, and the Minneapolis Red Jackets. The Buffalo Bisons were also added as they suspended operations the previous year and happily enjoyed re-entry into the fray of active National Football League franchises. There were also a few revisions to returning teams. The Pottsville Maroons were no longer called that. They were now the Boston Bulldogs. And the New York Yankees team, they folded, and the Detroit Wolverines merged with the New York Giants, staying under the name umbrella of the New York Football Giants. There were some officiating changes as well. The National Football League made a substantial change to their officiating crews. The addition of a fourth on-field official, the field judge, helped to box the gameplay in so the eyes could see action from all sides and try to create a fair and level playing field. The FJ position joined the referee, umpire, and head linesman on the field, according to a recent post on the Football Zebras website. We have a link to that great article on Pigskin Dispatch in this accompanying article. You can go to the show notes and go right to the article. The new field judge position was optional during the next few seasons, as clarified by the National Football League and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The field judge would cover a few areas of the field, the sideline opposite the head linesman and the deep secondary of the defense behind the umpire. Offenses explored both of these areas as the games start to get a little bit more open and use the forward pass a little bit more than they previously had. Remember, this is still a fairly new rule. It's only about 20 years old at this point, and really less than 20 years of when they really started throwing a forward pass after the rules were revised to do this. So, and the NFL is only in its 10th season, so there's a lot of things going on, and having that fourth official on the field was really a big deal. Now, in the first 9 weeks of play in that 1929 season, the front runners in the standings were the Green Bay Packers and the New York Giants. Neither franchise had lost a game. The press touted the November 24th meeting between the 8-0-1 Giants and the 9-0 Packers as the unofficial National Football League championship game in the weeks riding up to that. There would not be an official postseason contest to determine a league champion until the 1933 season, so the records meant everything for the title. So when these two top dogs are meeting, it is a big deal. They were probably pretty close, the press was, in this prediction, as each team had other games remaining on their schedules afterwards, but none of those opponents threatened these powerhouse 11s that seemed destined for one of them to win the championship. The game was everything it was built up to be, too. The Pack took the early lead when Vern Llewellyn sailed a touchdown pass to Curtis McCrary, and Bo Melinda's extra point gave Green Bay a 7-0 lead in the first quarter. Well, the Giants, they responded with a touchdown passing strike of their own when their Benny Friedman found Tony Planksky for a score, but the extra point kick by the Giants was blocked by the Packers, and New York trailed the game 7-6 in the third quarter. Well, the Packers got a little frisky, and they padded this lead in the final stanza, winning the game 20-6 by scoring 2 more touchdowns in the fourth quarter and holding the Giants scoreless to take a 1-game lead in the standings. And as predicted, neither Green Bay nor New York lost the remaining games. The Packers finished at 12-0-1, the Giants at 13-1-1, and Curly Lambeau and his Packers had sealed their first National Football League title. Now the rest of the standings, which we have posted on Pigskin Dispatch, compliments of the Pro Football Reference. And speaking of Pro Football Reference, they have started some blog posts over there, and yours truly is going to be doing some guest writing on those. So you'll see my name popping up over on Pro Football Reference and on the accompanying Sports Reference College Football Edition here in the coming weeks and months. So keep a lookout for those as well. We'll be talking about those in some future podcasts. So the Packers, like we said, 12-0-1. The Giants, second place, 13-1-1. Third place was the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. They had a 10-4-5 ties that were for a 7-14 win-loss percentage, well behind the other two teams. The Cardinals of Chicago ended up being a stalemate, 6-6-1. Boston Bulldogs were 4-4. Remember, they were the former Pottsville Maroons. The Staten Island Stapletons, who we just did some research history on earlier this week, they were 3-4-3 in 1929. Providence Steamroller was 4-6-2. The Orange Tornadoes 3-5-4. The Bears were 4-9-2. The Buffalo Bisons 1-7-1 in their return trip back to the NFL. The Minneapolis Red Jackets in their NFL debut were 1-9, and the Dayton Triangles lagged behind with a 0-6-0 record. Not a great season for those last two teams. But when the great teams are playing, there comes some great individual recognitions for the players that stood out amongst the others. Well, the fellows that played their hearts out are legendary when you consider that there were the likes of Bull Beeman, Tony Planksky, Ernie Nevers, Mike Michalski, Vern Llewellyn, Joe Westapal, Benny Friedman. Ray Flaherty was playing in those days. We know about him coaching, but he was a player then. Lavi Dilwig, Cal Hubbard, great Hall of Famer, Milt Rehnquist, Duke Slater, who we've talked about quite a bit, Bob Beatty, Walt Kiesling, another coach of the future, Steve Owen, another coach of the future there too, Ken Strong, George Pease, Luke John Sos, Joey Maxwell, Jack Spellman, Walt Homer, Doug Wyckoff, Herb Bloomer, Johnny Blood McNally, Wally Deal, Jug Earp, Hal Hansen, Bill Kern, Bob Lundell, and Rick Rassis. Now, those were the All-Pros for the 1929 season. Again, we have a chart there, compliments of the Pro Football Reference website that we can enjoy, that they share with us. And we hope that you'll take a look at that too. Remember, just follow the link to the Pigskin Dispatch article, and you can see these the standings and the All-Pros for that year with their stats for that 1929 season. So we thank you for joining us. The Packers were the champions for the first time ever in franchise history. And what a close match it was with that Giants game, meaning everything. And the Packers held on and won that game and finished strong. So that is your football history for 1929 at the professional level. And we hope that you'll join us next time as we talk about some more great football history. We have some great things coming up here in the coming weeks. And, we hope that you're going to enjoy it. Of course, we'll get into the Football History Rewind. We'll get into the college game and the pro game in a couple episodes going forward of the 1930 season and wrap up that decade of the Roaring 20s. We're getting deep into the Great Depression now with those games and those seasons, so it's a little bit tough swallow for the National Football League and for college football as well. And we're also going to be talking about some more early teams and talking with our friend Timothy P. Brown as he brings us some football archaeology to think about as well. And we'll try to get into some more of the naming origins of some of our favorite professional and college teams here in the coming weeks. So we have a lot going on. We hope you'll join us. Don't forget to sign up for that newsletter and check out our post in the show note links. So till next time, everybody, have a great Gridiron Day. We're taking a peek over at the chains and the down marker. It's 4th and long. We're going to have to punt the ball and get on out of here, but we'll have another series tomorrow for your football history headlines, so be sure to tune in. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast. PigskinDispatch.com is a proud affiliate of the Sports History Network, the headquarters of sports yesteryear.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, aka the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.